right, how's it going? Just want to make sure who's going to be here coming in is coming in. You know, we're going to go ahead and get into reading. All right, we're going to start off with Custodians of Time. Robbie Cottrell. We kill it, we save it, we rob, and we are robbed of it. We lose it, and it is with us everywhere we go. But none of us has the power to stop it marching or to stop it. Time. A lot of Afro beats, man. Let's change it up a little bit. All right, let's get into it. A little earth dramatical music. Had a little itch. I ran out. I had a little itch in my throat. It's kind of weird. Just want to make sure. Weird feeling. Excuse me. It's itching my throat. So as you know, we're in the session 3. I believe I read this to you guys. Yeah, I did read it. I read that poem to you. So we're not going to session 3, the sun, the moon, and the sermon. Let me take another sip. We got an individual that's not over here working. Definitely not Airbnb. Living on the side over here with these look like Israeli uniforms. Going and training every day. And he has a Texas license plate. This fool, every time he comes out, he looks over my way and at my truck. So today, my camera, I went outside and stood there and stared at him. He's got a beard. It looks like military. He got his vehicle and he's driving. He looks over and I do one of these numbers. Stop looking at me and think you all that with all that little technology and bring your ass here. Excuse my French. The polite way. They believe they're trained up. They don't have no clue. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. DCI Thomas was still in a bad mood as he entered the side ward. Every chair had been used, so he had to find one for himself. He grumbled under his breath. He hadn't done this since he was a young Bobby on the beat. In Europe, that's a cop. Copper. Appleyard smiled at Bullis and Tricia Hunt before whispering a positive comment. I think we're going to enjoy another session of revelations, and I'm pleased that both Sidney Hill and Leslie Westbrook have managed to find the time to be with us today. Their thoughts will be much appreciated, and let's hope that Marcus won't ruffle too many feathers today. Don't worry, I won't be throwing. Hopefully, I won't be throwing around some axes because sometimes it just comes out. Marcus Thomas returned, clutching a stool. Best I could find under the circumstances, he remarked, speaking to no one in particular, as no one replied to his predicament. Appleyard stood up and introduced the two newcomers to the group. Allow me to introduce Sidney Hill and Miss Leslie Westbrook. Both are experts in their respective fields. Pleasantries were passed between the 6 observers, although Marcus could only manage to grunt his greetings. As they all settled around the patient's bedside for the start of the new session, as before, all those present registered their names, the date and time on the tape recorder, after which Tricia announced, "Happy Valentine's Day." Tricia was still innocently unaware of Marcus Thomas's mood. Bullis and Appleyard smiled. Marcus Thomas pulled one of his stupid screwed up faces as the newcomers to the group. Hill and Westbrook looked unsure as what to say or do. The patient cleared his throat to get his audience's attention and began to speak. I got the fan on. That's when I started. I wish to return to the Eye of Horus, which has also been called a Wajat, or Wejat, or Ujat. These are all ancient Egyptian deities symbolizing protection, royal power, and good health, much like Jesus Christ. That got Hill's attention mighty fast. The Eye of Ra is somewhat comparable to the Eye of Horus. Ra is the sun god and the bringer of order to the kings of the night sky, which is a lie. We know the sun is the constant life giver, controlling the seasons for when the times is right to harvest the crops labored by man. Without the sun, life on earth would surely expire and die. So it is understandable why the ancient Egyptians worshipped the sun. No, they didn't. At one time, other cultures, were forbidden from worshiping the sun, it being supposedly outlawed by the Abrahamic God. I can tell you that as part of the Mithra cult, an early Persian society which celebrated the rising of the sun each day, the legend of Mithra gave birth to the Christian resurrection story. Honoring the sun was an integral part of that ritual, along with the ceremonies on Mithraism. And you see in Lord of the Rings where they talk about the Mithra and all those dragons in Europe, Italian, the Mithra, The patient appeared happier now. He was talking about subjects he held closest to his heart. One of the highest ranking an individual could rise to within the Mithraic temple was that of the sun carrier. I also found sun worshippers in old Babylonian texts and in Asian religious cults. To this day, some fringe religions still worship the sun during the midsummer solstice, the most famous being at Stonehenge. Even Christianity, to a certain degree, is derived from the sun. We know this will sound rather difficult for you to understand, but as a custodian, I can justify my words. The conception of stained glass paintings originated in Asia. One of the region's earliest surviving examples of colored glass came from the Assyrian city of Nineveh, dating back to the 7th century before the birth of Yeshua, or Jesus, as Christians now know him. Christian sun catchers painted brightly colored pictures that depicted God, Jesus, and his saints on glass windows throughout Christianity. It is most unfortunate that due to a series of errors in translation, his given name was never Jesus or Yeshua, but Jesus. Some custodians were present when he spoke of his proverbs, known to the Christians as his Sermon on the Mount. History must preserve these teachings. It is the basis on which the church was based. The words he spoke of that day proved to us beyond all doubt that his voice held a far greater power than the thrust of a sword or the stabbing of a spear. If you only take the time to think about that voice, you will hear his message. But some have listened without hearing. It is not the intentions of me to confront your religious views, whatever they may be. Far be it from me to challenge your intentions. In 1839, I met the playwright Edward Bulwer-Lytton and suggested he might consider including the phrase, "the pen being mightier than the sword," in his play, The Conspiracy. I am pleased to state that Edward took my advice. There have been many times when I have strongly objected to a man holding too much authority, especially when he does not know what to do with that power. We custodians can see that mankind can never be fully trusted with power. Lord Action, the Catholic historian, once told me that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I believe this to be true. Power gradually corrupts the man and lessens his morality. So it follows that the more power a man has, the more corrupt he becomes. I might disagree with the man's ideology, but his words have always resonated within me. Now, the problem of only powerful men taking charge of society could easily be solved by unleashing a deadly pestilence upon the earth, something far greater than anything previously encountered. A pandemic of such force and devastation that might make men consider the needs of others, channeling tolerance and understanding rather than anger and loss. Well, we know that we have sociopaths today who really wouldn't care. They have been groomed, nurtured, I ain't saying a good way, and built upon a false rock, a false stone. And they do the most unharmonious, unsanctified, unrighteous, no equilibrium, destructive things. It'll catch up to them. Being a custodian doesn't mean that I can peer into your future. For this, can I fear will never be achievable, or as I fear, will never be achievable. It matters not what I do, because mankind has already taken so many different paths. He will never return to fulfill his true destiny. See, we have idiots with serious mental issues, and they believe themselves to be correct, and they've been misled, and they've been put in positions to play a game. They should utterly and all be removed. Now, mankind has always taken the shrouded and overgrown pathway, even when it was obvious that another path was easier and safer. Through stubbornness, immovability, inflexibility, and tenaciousness, or possibly a combination of all four, mankind has forever created problems for himself. Let me ask you, will man always believe he has the superior power to rule over the earth? Man is the only animal for whom his own existence has been a problem he has continuously failed to solve. Now, I wish to finish for today I feel exhausted, but I will look forward to our next meeting. Now, that session was much shorter than the previous sessions, curtailed as it was by the patient himself. As the group left the hospital, Tricia Hunt was the first to remark on their proceedings. Basically, the facts he relates them are truthful, although his thoughts and approach to some are highly negative. See how positive affirmations and suggestions could be negative to those who negate and live in negativity, regardless of being hospitable and non-combative. It seems to me that he is reciting his words as if reading from an invisible book. I wonder if he has a photographic memory. He certainly has a gift of some kind. We always make excuses for what we don't understand, especially when we are not able or capable and we don't listen so we can attain. Right? Right? Mankind is very stupid, and not stubbornly so, just stupid. The navigator who crossed the ice walls. Oh yeah, I know y'all was like, ooh, when is he getting back into that? Oh yeah, here goes the good stuff. Chapter 12, Giant Humans versus Custodians in the Known Lands. So here we are, the navigator who crossed the ice walls, worlds beyond Antarctica, nos confoundum. Here we go, Claudio Naselli. This is the front of the bottom. Wow, they're stupid. When the custodians returned triumphant from their war, they found their colony totally revolutionized. Let me make sure of something. Hold on. Yeah, it is the next one. I just wanted to make sure I remember. Last was the giant humans and the great Tartarians. When the custodians returned triumphant from their war, a lot of y'all don't know that you are Tartarian. Whether it be pale skin, Mongol, Mongolian, whatever we want to call yourself, Chinese, Arab, all these new identities in a very short period of time. Anyway, when the custodians returned triumphant from the war, they found their colony totally revolutionized. Now, there was a power they did not expect between giant humans and angry humans revealing themselves for the years of slavery. These long years of giant humans developing and basing their technology on weapons of war and defense, added to the fact that much custodial information was plundered and used for this development in scientific knowledge, led to the climax of a race totally forgotten by the custodians. Now, when they returned and analyzed the situation, they knew they could not carry on another war because of the casualties of the last one and all the expense that had been carried out to defeat the enemy. Obviously, they wanted to start an immediate reset, but their pyramids were destroyed, and they had lost a lot of power in the manipulation of the environment. Now, do you know why all these new pyramids and different material exist? They were quicker to build, easier to sustain, and they have geothermic and different types of power underneath them. Whether in France, the fake place over in Israel, by the Vatican, oh, they're all over. They thought and analyzed several strategies and waited to see how the conflict with the humans would develop. But fearful of this uncertain future, another war was born in the known lands. This time, humanity would fight together with the giants against their former colonizer. The fierce battles fought cannot be described because it was really something that generated even fear in many of the other circles. Every day that the sunset, piles of bodies from both sides were observed lying on the lands that were now only battlefields. There were areas covered by a vast and different vegetation that now was nothing more than sand and dead landscapes. It's true. The custodians, also weakened by the last war with the Anunnaki, saw that they lost all control and even feared that latter their lands would also be attacked by humanity with a thirst for revenge. Now, the opportunity to annihilate the custodians also left a great peace for the heavenly lands. Everything was heading towards an imminent victory, but something happened in the middle, and this was never achieved. Something happened in the middle. It's called an enemy within. Betrayal at the highest and lowest of levels. The custodians had no choice but to return to the Anunnaki lands in order to reach a new agreement with them. There was not much army left that could resist another war, but technology and the Union was immediately taken in exchange for gold, among other things that we do not know, but that possibly have to do with the growth of humanity and the fear of future retaliation. Here it is worth clarifying that when the custodians had to leave to unify against the Anunnaki, they left in command an inferior race called Greys, or Zerathuli, and Orion. They were used to control the Earth while they were gone. But according to the story, the Greys did not agree with the old treaty and the manipulation received. Then they were unconcerned, thinking that the human beings would never rebel or grow in this way, much less imagine a union with a race of forgotten giants. Does it make sense with all the chemical dousing and poisoning and the lobotomies, certain doctors put in positions, going to certain meetings, belonging to certain cult movements that have nothing and mean nothing? These accepted as they also feared losing their lands at the end of the war, even to the giant humans who now had a large army and sought to free themselves from the custodial yoke in the known lands. Now the inevitable happened. An unprecedented war took place in the center of those lands. The two forces used all their potential and technology that they immediately put to the test. The giant humans, or rather the great artery of free energy, also possessed their own ships. Therefore, the war took place both on land, water, and air. Unfortunately, the giant human power could not resist throughout the harsh battles, and not having control of the environment that the custodians manipulated, this caused wear and tear and deterioration in the troops, as well as natural catastrophes that grew out of nowhere in important centers. Although, as I mentioned before, this would mark a before and after in all the surrounding worlds, I knew that if they lost this war, they were also somehow condemning future generations for several centuries. The giants had to escape from the land, since defeat was inevitable, and their death was certain. The custodians would never forgive the giants for having taken up arms and delivered forbidden knowledge to humans, managing to escape where they had entered through the north and south passages. Why do you think that we invented so much stuff, people? Why do you think the mudslides happened more than once? Who do you think was causing them? And then allowing these Ashkenaz to come in with these stolen babies. Were they stolen? Why do you think they were rushing to murder our men and sleep with our women? And even murder the women afterwards? Think about the truths. I'm not saying this is facts. I'm just asking you to think. Some humans followed them and also achieved this longed-for escape from the custodial yoke. Now, the ancient souls of Asgard, Lemuria, and Atlantis that inhabited human bodies started from scratch in the lands outside the first dome known as the Ancestral Republic. And although hurt by a hard defeat, they had the hope to grow again and return with new strategies. Now, with two different missions to liberate the human being and to finish with the custodians, human beings began to, in these new lands, to connect with the source and understand their true past and importance. Butler interrupted, saying that he had already talked to one of the leaders there and that they did not agree to help us. Not because they did not want to, but because they feared that their entire race might actually disappear, as almost happened last time. I told Butler of my concern for the lands of the Republic and also for the lands we had left behind. He commented that he doubted they wanted to end up with humanity inside the walls, since of all the resets to date, this seemed to be the one that had worked best for them. Besides, the Greys were also under their control and in turn helped to control the human in many other ways. Since there was high mind control, basic and/or fundamental issues were not dealt with, or if they were, they were easily found and reported with some mental problem, immediately sending the culprit to a psychiatric facility where they were easily and successfully controlled by other human members. Imagine if you went back there, William, and wanted to tell everything you experienced here or the information you gathered. If you had time to tell the others, they would not believe you and would quickly send you to confinement or possibly death itself, which we know happens more than. There was a reason why my grandmother took me on her job to Mountainside, to Overbrook, to the psych wards, to the parties and everything. And I talked with many people who seemed as if they were normal. The one young girl, about while she was in her 30s, killed her whole family. And I'm sitting here looking at her, and she's looking like a beautiful form of that Italian little thing with the black eyes, a coal that pissed on the corner. I think we could smell it. All pale like baby powder. And she was wearing something that's similar, and her eyes were dark brown. Just absolutely beautiful. I'm a young kid, a young cherub, a young sentient one. Anyway, and she said calmly, "No, little Jimmy, I killed my whole family. All of them. Every one of them." And I'm looking at her like, now I've been watching horror flicks. I knew exactly what, now I've heard enough stories and seen a few things. I remember running to my grandma, my mama. "Ma," she's laughing and giggling. "Oh, she's fine. You're fine. Go on and finish talking to her." Never made sense. No, I get it now. All this that I had heard gave me many answers that I never imagined I would ever hear, but it also generated many other questions. There was so much to process, and everything was running very fast. It was frantic. According to Butler, we should leave the islands as soon as possible, as he stated, and he did not even know his plan as usual. He kept the strategy until the end. Better to say least, right? We gathered the whole team to leave, and we were going to leave the lands of Thoth and leave behind the great Sheki, who had given me the most important part of this puzzle that seemed indecipherable, a master key that opened so many worlds and possibilities. The lost history of the human being was in my hands. The boys began to ask me about this talk, and also began to look through the book I was carrying with me. Butler also helped me to answer the thousands of questions that arose, including mine. Between all of us, we tried to make this as logical as possible for our confused minds while the sun went away and a strange night fell on us. One of the strangest in those lands, I must say. The sky was tinged with the purest red and generated a fire-like glow, and Butler commented that this fire is visible if you sail near the Antarctic ring. It looks like a giant bonfire in the distance. It was something we had even perceived before leaving the known lands. Next, chapter 13, we'll get into El Arca and the prosperous capital. I hope you all enjoyed that reading. Both. Get one more. Man, it's stupid. Let's get into a little George Jones, Original History of Ancient America. Section 2. National and Political Analogies, Historical and Traditional. A translation of the hieroglyphical altar of Copan, and so on. History proves the fact that the higher order of animals and birds have been selected as the symbolical emblems of different nations. As for instance, the British lion, the Gaelic cock, the Roman and the American eagle, Tartary, remember yellow and eagle? Rome, I told you we had cathedrals and things that rivaled what's over there, destroyed, and many others. The dove was the bird of Babylon and Nineveh. This was natural. All those cities were the most ancient and nearest to the time of the deluge. And consequently, the dove became the apparent emblem of safety. And it is a strong proof of the historical fact of the deluge and the dove. The next beautiful bird of a peaceful character is the swan. And this was selected by another immediate branch of Noah's family. As we visit the Canaanites, it has already been shown that the house of Canaan was the original of that of the Tyrians. The antiquary Jacob Bryan says concerning this emblem of the Canaanites, that were they or their descendants, for example, the Tyrians, may have settled, there will be a story be found in reference to swans. Now, when the above learned writer penned the general remark, he little thought that it would be brought to bear upon the identity of the Tyrians in the Western Hemisphere, and therefore, in its application, it is of greater authority from that very fact. He says, now, that where the Tyrians may have settled, we may expect to hear some story or tradition about a swan or swans. Admitting this to be truth, and in parentheses it states, and he is quoted as authority upon antiquities, and then is there proof that the Mexican Aborigines were Tyrians, as the following incident from acknowledged history will show. About 2 centuries before the Spanish conquest, the Aztecs, Mexican proper, were oppressed by a neighboring kingdom. Now, y'all heard about the Mayan being the Yaqui? Are y'all aware of that? Okay. Tulatta demanded as a tribute that the former should bring one of their celebrated floating gardens from the Lake of Mexico. Told you Mexico was an island. This tributary present was accomplished with great labor and difficulty. The next year, the demand was repeated, and with this addition, revisit that their emblematical bird, the swan, should also be brought with it, and in the garden, sitting on her eggs, and that the present should be so timed as to its arrival that the eggs should be hatched. And when the garden was presented to the king, demanding the national tribute, this was actually accomplished, and the Cygnates came forth as the imperious monarch received the present. The Cygnates. I just like to say it's Cygnates. It's the Cygnates, y'all. Now, the substance of the above was recorded by the Spanish historian over 3 centuries since, and with no idea to establish that those Aborigines were Tyrians. It may therefore be received as a record of fact. At all events, it came to the historian from the Mexicans as a story of their race, handed down from sire to son as a tradition of their ancestors. In those respects alone, story or tradition, the proof of identity required by Bryant, mind you, is completely established, where the Tyrians are, you may expect to hear some story or tradition about swans. Well, then here is the story and tradition, together with historical fact and swans from the material. And we will read that tomorrow. Now, I gotta do what I gotta do, all right? Feel however you want. Awesome. That's going to be a good read. So hopefully y'all tune in tomorrow to get that little, let me see if I can pull up something right quick. I'm going to let it load. I'm going to go ahead and read because it's going to take a minute for it to load. It's 74 degrees. I usually have it at 72 degrees, and it is hot than 5 flat tires up in here. I'm talking about despair. melted in asphalt. I'm serious, y'all. It's hot. Arthur Kessler, the 13th tribe. He polluted all the tribes. Not Kessler, the Ashkenaz. We call them the Ashkenaz. They polluted every tribe. Went about attempting to slaughter them all, to hide the fact that they're the lie of life. Well, I don't bite my tongue. I would love to see when I'm coming to debate me, so I can pull a mask off. Oh, I would have such delight in doing so. Especially the converts, which they actually all are. And the ones who have been mixed out, who are of our blood, know no better. Whoa. Summary. In part 1 of this book, I have attempted to trace the history of the Khazar Empire based on the scant existing sources. In part 2, chapters 5 through 7, I have compiled the historical evidence which indicates that the bulk of Eastern Jewry, and hence of world Jewry, is of Khazar Turkish rather than Semitic origin. Let me pull something up. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't feel like looking for it. Whenever you put up something and you Google it, don't use ancient, put antiquities, okay? Just want, if you already know that, then you're fine. But the problem with that is, you're not going to get the truth. And why do I say that? Because the Ashkenazis have already done their job, painting, repainting, rechanging, refurbishing, and creating a narrative to which never existed. As we know it today, we call it whitewashing. Trust me. For even their portraits, if you actually go and study the portraits, you will see that they are 19th century based, painted. They are not old. For if I was to show you what Tyrian purple looks like, well, it looks like earth. And if Tyrian is a label for the color of earth, then what would the people look like? I'm only asking you that whenever you research something, to look beyond the lies they have impregnated the world with. Especially when we know that these are not wigs when you look at Tyrian. And I will show you the difference. Because even Nimrod, Canaan, was considered a Tyrian of sort, which several 100 names exist with him, right? And another thing, it's not about hair and all that, because they actually had different types of hair. You could believe bronze, you could believe this, that. They have made many lies, they have mislabeled and changed many things. And why? And why not? I'm going to show you these right quick. And I will let you be the prolific or the judge of it. And we know they whitewashed much, changed many things, created many statues. Oh, trust me, you can go and pull it up and see where they have had so many, individuals do work over the last 150 to 200 years. Thousands. And it was not about black and white. You got to remember that's a 18th century, one of the dumbest creations ever. Okay, so I'm going to show you these, and then you decide upon yourself, because you can't hide stone, real stone work, for whatever reason. We have a lost people, a lost nationalities, lost identities, so much lostness that you would think people would do different. What their greatest mistake is they rush, regardless of what we believe. Now, I'm not going to show you the Assyrian stuff, which maybe many of you are aware of, yet they have lied about that, because if you knew about these, you would know better. Let's make sure that we get the right ones. I want to make sure I have the right ones, because they have lied so much. They have done a damage to themselves, and they will continue. So don't think that they will listen and watch and pay attention, and no, they don't know how to stop. Even in the minting of coins. Trust me. I'm looking for a particular one. Like I said, sometimes you have to dig. I don't save all these things. I just don't. Some people think because something is porcelain or it's ivory that it means white, which is fictional. It doesn't. Just to let y'all know. And for those who believe it does, well, they're pretty stupid. And I don't say that to be all daintily joyful in stating it. Okay? I say it because it is a fact. So, if you want to say Lebanon and Egypt, well, we were everywhere. Tyrians were everywhere. The issue is the reconstruction of the narrative. And hence, we go back to George Orwell, Mark Twain. Oh, there's a slew of them. Okay? Let me see what we got here. Let me make sure. Okay. I'm going to hold this up to the screen. I'm not going to do it in the screen. Yes, a Tyrian. She's light. That is not a bonnet. That is not straight hair. Even Nimrod, a Tyrian. When this right here is Alabaster, I believe, is Lebanon or Egypt. No, Rome. Tyrian. Obviously, you see the lighting of the skin, whitewashed. Tyrians, it doesn't matter. Well, they're pale or light brown, but whitewashing is real. They had to make it look like Negroes were slave everywhere. Wrong. Even in Hindustan. Okay? In Europe. Oh. That's a fro. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is Palestine, Lebanon. Lebanon. You see, he was holding it, right? Just a few. Let's get back to reading. Anyway, in this last chapter, I have tried to show that the evidence from anthropology concurs with history in refuting the popular belief in a Jewish race descended from the biblical tribe. Now, from the anthropologist's point of view, two groups of facts militate against this belief: the wide diversity of Jews with regard to physical characteristics and their similarity to the Gentile population amidst whom they live. Both are reflected in the statistics about bodily height, cranial index, blood groups, hair and eye color, etc. Whichever of these anthropological criteria is taken as an indicator, it shows a greater similarity between Jews and their Gentile host nations than between Jews living in different countries. To sum up this situation, I have suggested the formula, and it has the Gentile and the Jew greater is lesser than the Jew, and the Gentile GA minus GB equals or is a comparative to the JA minus JB. The obvious biological explanation for both phenomena is miscegenation, which took different forms in different historical situations: intermarriage, large-scale proselytizing, rape as a constant, legalized or tolerated, accompaniment of war and program. Listen, y'all, program. The belief that notwithstanding the statistical data, there exists a recognizable Jewish type is based largely, but not entirely, on various misconceptions. It ignores the fact that features regarded as typically Jewish by comparison with Nordic people cease to appear so in a Mediterranean environment. It is unaware of the impact of the social environment on the physique and continence, and it confuses biological with social inheritance. Nevertheless, there exist certain hereditary traits which characterize a certain type of contemporary Jew. In the light of modern population genetics, these can to a large degree be attributed to processes which operated for several centuries, 300 short of millennia, in the segregated conditions of the ghetto: inbreeding, genetic drift, selective pressure. The last mentioned operated in several ways: natural selection, for example, through epidemics; sexual selection, dumb negresses, and you dumb Negroes, even though we do push forward the genes that keep us; and more doubtfully, the selection of character features favoring survival within the ghetto walls. In addition to these, social hereditary through childhood conditioning acted, listen to me, in addition to these, social heredity through childhood conditioning acted as a powerful formative and deformative factor. Each of these processes contributed to the emergence of the ghetto type. In the post-ghetto period, it became progressively diluted. As for the genetic composition and physical appearance of the pre-ghetto stock, we know next to nothing in the view presented in this book. This original stock was predominantly Turkish, mixed to an unknown extent with ancient Palestinian and other elements. Nor is it possible to tell which of the so-called typical features, such as the Jewish nose, is a product of sexual selection in the ghetto or the manifestation of a particularly persistent tribal gene. Since nostrility is frequent among Caucasian peoples and infrequent among the Semitic Bedouins, we have one more pointer to the dominant role played by the 13th tribe in the biological history of the Jews. and then we will go into sources, because I want to read the sources and spelling. I hope that was as interesting for you as it was for me. Let's hit a little bit of... Now, you know what? I want to do Pale Horse later, because I want to read a whole lot in here. I set up and actually read. Oh, I don't get scared of shit, and I don't have... but I fear for you. So we're going to come back. We're going to read this. This is going to be late, so if you're up all night, then good. It's going to be a good read. Let's put that right there, because we're going to read this. Oh, y'all got to hear what William Cooper had to say. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, if you donated, I haven't checked since our beloved sister donated at 50. Namaste. Truly appreciate it. But go ahead, hit it off. And let me shout some of y'all off. I appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to know before we like me. Ha, beloved. What's going on? Ganja. You sprinkling on water, man. You help the throat, brother. Appreciate you. APJR, what's up, beloved? What's son? You and Ganja better get your asses up here, man. That's a 40 round. Pussy pink, booty hole brown. That's so stupid. I'm sorry. T Mac NYC. Time to come up out of New York, bro. Let's get them lungs right. Come on, family. All right, get a little country. Mikey Hill, what's going on, beloveds? Yeah. Herbo, what's going on, beloved? Yeah. Alicia, what's going on, beloved? Yes. Orthodox American Arms. Dude, that's all I had to hear, bro. Salute to you. What's going on, beloved? Yes, it's magnificent. Alicia C. That's what I'm saying. Great Wolf, where the wifey at? What's going on, beloved? Yo, man, it's time to come up out over there on the East Coast. Come to the heart, man. Come to the mountains, bruh. Come on, man. I mean, the mountains can be brought down, and even below the sea, levels of the sea. Don't worry about that. You know what I'm saying? APJR, what's up, beloved? Next weekend is looking like a trip up north for me. Come on, baby boy. Got a few tannerites, so you can even buy some at the store now, bro. And they're not expensive. You know, I buy large quantities, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, come on through, man. Come on. No, it was about read, and that's what I did. I'm gonna break a few things down while I'm reading. So I'm gonna come back in about an hour and a half. About 7:45, 8 o'clock. Yeah, late one. And I'm just gonna come on and I'm gonna open that book up. I don't care. I hope y'all watching the ads that come on, all right? In totality, it's not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna hit the live, get set up, have a nice and be probably some different, on PJs or something, and we're gonna read Behold a Pale Horse. Boy, what? Some things I knew, but I wasn't sure of. Kind of solidifies it. All right, my beloved sisters. Snoo will be back on. She'll play catch up 2 into 1. Have y'all figured that out? It's not complicated. I appreciate y'all taking the time and paying attention. For those who stayed, much power and respect. Yeah. I got a couple of little books. It's about a pack of 3 children books. Those came. I don't know where the rest of them, but it says tomorrow the 7th. It has like 4 things supposed to be arriving. UPS and FedEx. So we'll see tomorrow. Okay? Look, y'all have a grand evening. And in an hour and 40, it's 6:10 now. 7:45, 8 o'clock. No shit. We'll be back on. And we'll be getting into that. I might even look up, and if you have some questions about what I'm reading, I'll go back and see if I can convey something. Or go into his sources of references and see what we can pull up. You know what I mean? I appreciate y'all, I really do. Yeah, come on, man. Hit West Side, man. I shared a video in there with my aunt, Johanna Wright, Wright, married to Lonnie Wright, Denver Broncos, Denver Nugget, and my uncle John Amos. with KC ass on the side. If y'all follow my uncle on Instagram, that's KC's account. That's how he's getting the fiat, okay? It's not for Pops. I mean, for Uncle John. And y'all ain't saying nothing, man. What's wrong with y'all, man? It's like, what do we say? Well, you can see my aunt is power of attorney over John Amos. Why? Because she knows how to make sure he's got the best care. And the people surrounded with her is all them, you know what I mean? And not the danger. Because a lot of them people are being found out. Thanks to, what's that guy's name? What's the name of that guy? It's not that I can't pronounce his name. What is his name? Chevelle. I can't pronounce his name. But he has a movie out. And it's, what is that name of that movie? Something Sound of Freedom or something like that. He's acting like the agent, the Spanish agent who went and rescued a bunch of, and there's some Navy SEALs, ex-Army. I was thinking about joining with the guys right down here in Phoenix. I know the brand, the name, and I chatted with a couple of them, and I'm thinking about going down there, suiting up, getting my Advils and my very small sea coating, and my knee wraps and pads and bag, and just go down, because I love to hike and all that, regardless of elements, and go out there and go hunting. I detest child traffickers, women 2 million. I said 1 million, right? Well, I was talking about but 2 million children go missing, and they're not coming back alive, y'all. Not the majority of them. You could take a drug one time, but a child, you can pass them around thousands of times. That's some sick shit. Anyway, just thought I'd go ahead and share that. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I truly do. Nothing but grace upon you, brother. Grace upon you all. All right? And I'll see y'all here in a couple hours, all right? Thanks for taking the time. And share this. Appreciate it.